Welcome to 2025 and Three Things with JR. I'm back. And if you pay attention to the schedule of our shows, meaning this show, Three Things with JR, and my other show that I do with Gary, Small Things Considered, and if you think about what I said on my last episode of this show, you might have been expecting an episode of Small Things Considered, but that's not happening this week. That will happen next week, assuming Gary is feeling better. He's a little under the weather and is really just not up to recording right now. We were going to have band practice today, but that didn't happen either. That's how you know how sick Gary is. If band practice is getting canceled, he is not in a good way. So good thoughts and vibes going out to Gary. Hope you're feeling better, buddy, and hope we get together soon to both jam and record some small things. And but that's not happening today. Instead, you're getting Three Things with JR, the first episode of season 6 of this show. If you had told me when I started this show that I was going to keep going into a 6th season, 163 episodes, I wouldn't have been sure I would have believed that was possible. And it's not happening because of the amazing amount of success this show is having, because the listenership really hasn't changed much since day one. It's happening because I just love doing it. So there you go. Every day, every week, I think about things I want to tell you about on my podcast. And sometimes I write them down in my phone so that I can remember them. And then when I get here and I'm like, all right, time to record the podcast, then I sit and I expand on those ideas. And sometimes I write out like bullet points, and sometimes I write out like full-on paragraphs of stuff that I want to say. And I get excited when that is the case, because I know I'm going to sit here and crack the mic open and I'm not going to be at a loss for words. And so that's awesome. Here's this one thing. I've been thinking it was going to be one of the actual 3 things, but I mean, this episode could be 4 things with JR, because this one's a kind of a, I wrote out a way more than I thought. I had way more thoughts on grocery shopping than I thought I was gonna, because I've been shopping at Wegmans. Now, Charlottesville has had a Wegmans for quite a few years now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. But I've never really frequented our Wegmans. I've been to a few Wegmans in other places, and I thought, gosh, this is humongous and really nice, and these prices are a little higher, but it's clearly a very nice grocery store, almost too big. But what do I normally do? I've been going to Walmart for most of my groceries now for quite a long time. And they are by far the cheapest place to buy groceries. Like, that's not even in question. Just about any item you can compare at other grocery stores such as Kroger, Harris Teeter, Wegmans, just about everything, if they have it, is cheaper at Walmart. And so what I used to do would be I would go to Walmart and get everything I could there, and then if I didn't get everything I wanted because they didn't have some unique item or whatever, then I would go to Kroger or Harris Teeter. And every now and then I would accompany Kiki to Wegmans. She typically would like to go there, and I would think of it as a special treat to go to Wegmans. But I've pretty much stopped using Walmart for most of my groceries. Walmart's been pissing me off. The price you pay for cheaper groceries is being treated like a thief, pretty much forced into the self-checkout due to the lack of cashiers. They rearrange the store just to make you have to look for stuff and make more impulse buys along the way. In fact, at the Charlottesville Walmart, they recently moved the pharmacy from where it was right next to all of the groceries all the way over to the other side of the store. So you have to walk all the way from the groceries across the store, right by all of the furniture and baby stuff and clothes and everything else to get to the pharmacy area where, like if you just want to buy soap or toothpaste or deodorant, you've got a trek. You've got to visit way more of the Walmart than you had planned on. And it makes sense. I mean, I get why they did it. They want you to buy more stuff. They don't carry groceries to make money on groceries. They carry groceries so that you will buy batteries and t-shirts and fishing poles and computer stuff and whatever else it is they actually make money on. So I get why they do it, but I don't like it. They used to be right next to each other, and I really liked that. Plus, the carts suck at Walmart. They just get beat up. The parking lot is annoying. The cart corrals are just like metal frames that are not bolted down to the ground, so they end up moving around where they are, and they get all janky. And I don't know, it's just gross. I'm kind of sick of Walmart. And typically, my second place to go for groceries was Kroger, which they kind of suck now as well. Like, I love the little carts at grocery stores, the ones that are about half the size of your traditional grocery cart. And Kroger was the first store I ever shopped at that had these short carts. And I mean, I rarely make like a huge grocery run, and these little carts are just perfect. They're also so much more like maneuverable, like around the store, easier to get them through tight spaces and around other people, and they're more fun to drive. But like not, even that got ruined. Not anymore. Like all the Kroger carts, the big ones and the little ones, they have these anti-theft wheels on them. And these wheels, like there's just one out of the four wheels, and it does not roll freely, right? Like there's something in it that slows it down a little bit. And they stop rolling when they think a theft is happening. Like maybe if the cart gets far away from the store, maybe the cart is being taken, it will stop rolling. But I even had the cart wheel stop rolling as I was walking out the door, right by the registers. And like when the cart stopped and I was like, what's going on? The security guard walked over and said, hey man, I got to check your receipt. That's what happens when the wheel stops. That's like a policy of theirs. And I was super annoyed by that. Harris Teeter is another one. I go there because they're close to my work, and I often go there for lunch, and I probably still will because of that. They're owned by Kroger as well, but they don't do any of this anti-theft stuff. They have the short carts, but no anti-theft wheels. Walmart did away with the small carts, and they're checking receipts as you leave now. Anyway, I'm not happy at Kroger or Walmart. I'll tolerate Harris Teeter, mainly, like I said, because they're so close to work. But if I'm going to go grocery shopping, I'm going to Wegmans. They are by far the least conveniently located grocery store to me. They are all the way on the other side of Charlottesville. But their carts are awesome. They are very nice. They all roll very good. You have as many little or large carts to choose from as you could possibly want. They always have enough cashiers that it's your free choice to either go through self-checkout or have a cashier do it for you. And the store never gets rearranged. Every Wegmans I've been in is arranged basically the same, and there's no room for like moving everything around. Like, let's put all of the produce over on the other side of the store now. Like, I've seen Kroger do stuff like that, but I don't think that's ever happening at Wegmans. Plus, the people there are so nice. They actually seem happy to be working there. The parking lot is immaculate. Even the cart corrals are like well designed. They have little frills on them. They are bolted down so they don't go anywhere, and they're covered. They actually care about their carts and about your experience using the carts in their parking lot. Anyway, I'm all in on Wegmans. And I even, for the first time ever, bought my own grocery bags, like the reusable ones. They're 99 cents at Wegmans. And for those of you that live in Albemarle County here in Virginia, you know that grocery bags at Walmart, Kroger, any place like that, you have to pay 5 cents per bag. So I have spent a lot of money on those cheap plastic grocery bags. And because I am the type that is always honest about that. Like when it asks how many bags I used, I count and I tell it the actual number of bags that I used, and I pay 5 cents per bag. Not anymore, because that's not a thing at Wegmans. If I use their bags, their paper, which is that feels like grocery shopping in the 70s now. I'm not into the paper bags. And it makes way more sense to use their reusable bags. They have good handles that aren't going anywhere. You can fit so much more in them because they can handle the weight of a ton of groceries. It's just better. It's just so much better. And I will drive longer to get there and pay more for stuff simply because I like where I'm shopping that much more. I have those reusable bags. I have multiples of them now in my truck and in my car. So there's no excuse. If I go to Wegmans, I'm bringing in my own bags. And I just never thought that I was that type of person. But apparently I am. Also, lastly, I have found no evidence that they are cozying up to Donald Trump like Walmart and so many other major businesses are doing. And that's a positive thing. So there's the first thing that's not officially a thing. That's just part of my old intro. That's like a rant, a happy rant, because I have found a wonderful place to buy groceries. All right, let's do things.
Thing number one.
Does anybody else out there get drunk calls from their grown children? I've never done this to my mom or dad. I've never been wasted at a bar and thought, hey, I'm going to give dad a call. Or, hey, I'm going to give mom a call. Never had that happen to me. I've never been the type to do that. I have had it happen multiple times with Chester, my stepson Chester. Now, for those of you who might be listening to this that you don't know my history, I was married for 20 years. When I married my ex-wife, she had a 3-year-old named Chester. And his biological father was very much in his life. He had visitation every other weekend, a couple weeks in the summer and holidays and such. But for the most part, Chester lived with his mom and me. And so I was a father figure in his life. He probably didn't think of me as dad, but very much like that. And I've always thought of him as my son. Just as much my son as my biological daughter is my daughter. And I got a call today. It was Saturday morning, about 11 o'clock here in Virginia. And Chester is calling me on Facebook Messenger because that's how he calls from Okinawa, Japan, where he lives with his wife. He's stationed in the Air Force there. And I could tell immediately that he was wasted. And he was so drunk, dropping F-bombs like crazy, which is weird to me that Chester, drunk or sober, uses so much profanity, because growing up with Angela and me, Angela was so against strong language in that way. And as a result, I didn't ever push that envelope. I did not use profanity around the family with any kind of regularity. It might have slipped out every now and then, but my kids were not hearing F-bombs ever, except when, I don't know when, hardly ever. We didn't watch movies with that kind of language. But boy, drunk Chester says the F word a lot. And he starts telling me that the reason he thought of me and wanted to call me was because he was in this bar and he looked down next to the table and there was an ashtray. And the ashtray in the bar made him think of me and how much I would enjoy coming to visit him in Okinawa, Japan, because you can smoke in so many places inside, which is basically not a thing in America, hardly at all anymore. But it's everywhere in Japan. In this bar, there's just ashtrays everywhere and people smoke. There are places you can go, restaurants and places that just you can smoke inside. And he knows that I, still a smoker after all these years, would really appreciate the idea of being able to smoke inside a bar or any other kind of place. And so he thought of me and just wanted to call me and tell me, hey man, it's been too long since we talked. I've been thinking about you. I saw this ashtray. And I'm about to sing karaoke. I'm at a karaoke bar and I've already sang a couple songs. I'm going to sing another one. We started talking about what he likes to sing, and we just kept talking, and it was just kind of fun. I just thought it was just a nice, fun, drunk Chester call. But then he starts getting real. You know how drunk people start telling you how they really feel about you? And gosh, this was the best drunk Chester call I've ever received, because he just out of the blue starts telling me about how much I meant and mean to him, about how he thinks about his childhood growing up, and realizes in today that I was a major influence on who he is and how he views the world and how he reacts under stress, under pressure. He saw me being a calm, cool, and collected person who didn't overly react when things might go bad in any way, shape, or form. He said, in the moment, people think you are not caring about the outcome of whatever because you're not reacting so strongly. But that's not it at all. You do care, and what you're doing, what he observed me doing, and what he says he does because of seeing me do it, is to react thoughtfully and not emotionally right away, not to freak out when something bad is happening, but to actually think about the situation and what can be done and what can I control, what don't I have control over. He kept saying things like, it's this in the moment character you have. You're good under pressure. And he also he was less eloquent with this part, but he was talking about my bedside manner. And he said, that's without even the right fucking word, dude. It's like, that's just like a doctor in a hospital are good at talking to people, but like, you're just good at talking to people like in the outside world. Like, it's like bedside manner in the outside world. And the last thing he said was, you set me up for success. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was an emotional call for me, and for him, it was just a drunk confessional call right before he was going to go up and sing Katie Tunstall's song, The Big Black Horse in a Cherry Tree, at karaoke at 1:30 in the morning in Okinawa, Japan. And seeing an ashtray sparked all of this. And man, I'll tell you what, it really invigorated me for the day. And made me pretty happy and proud of the time I spent being a father to him. And it makes me want to buy a plane ticket and go to Okinawa and go to a bar and sing karaoke and smoke cigarettes with my stepson Chester, because I love him that much.
Thing number two.
Thing number two, I was going to talk about how great the show Silo is. It's on Apple TV Plus. The second season just wrapped up. As I'm recording this, it was last night. It came out on Friday. I've been binging this show for the past couple weeks, and I didn't realize it, but the timing worked out perfectly so that when I got to the last episode, it was the day the last episode dropped. And man, was it a pretty great season finale. Really tied a bunch of things up together nicely, but oh gosh, some cliffhangers that make me really happy that it has been renewed for 2 more seasons. It is a damn good show, well written, looks different than anything you've ever seen, and seems like it's one thing on the surface, but it's really a lot more than that. It's deep, it's good. I highly recommend Silo. I kept seeing the thumbnail image on it on my Apple TV, and I thought, I don't know that looks like a show for me. But I kept hearing about how good it was, and I gave it a shot, and boy, I got hooked pretty much instantly. So Silo, check it out. That's not thing number 2. Here's thing number 2. Today, my mom just sent me a song in Facebook Messenger, and this is not super uncommon that mom would share a song that she likes with me. We've been playing music with each other, for each other, for as long as I can remember. I think a lot of my musical tastes come from growing up in my house with my mom playing music. And I have lots and lots of memories of records on record players and videos on MTV and mixtapes in the car on road trips or just a drive to the grocery store. My mom's taste in music has influenced me quite a bit. And it was in the late 80s when I really developed my own unique taste in music, which started to diverge a little bit from my mom. But in the years since, she's always been sending me cool songs, songs I would have never discovered on my own. I'm thinking specifically of a song by the Decemberists that accompanied this really cool video on YouTube, and we watched that, and we actually went to see a Decemberists concert because of that song. That's how much I love it when mom sends me a song to check out. So today she sent me one. It was called Jack of Moons is the name of the song, and the band is called Hot for Crime. I thought, wow, what is this? Just the name of the song and the band seemed a little different than I would expect from my mom, but I listened to it right away. It was actually, I got in my car in the Wegman's parking lot, and I looked at Facebook Messenger, and there it was. I hit play, and boom, I'm driving home listening to Jack of Moons by Hot for Crime. This was very different. This was not what I was expecting. They rocked like a heavy rock. I've never known my mom to be into heavy rock and roll. And you might be thinking, oh, JR's about to play this on the show, but I'm probably not. I think I have stopped playing copyrighted music on my podcast because I recently started putting this show and Small Things Considered on our YouTube channels. Like if you wanted to listen to this show, you can now do that on YouTube. I put it on my What Is It About You YouTube page in an effort to have more content out there to support my YouTube channel and my podcast all in one place. But I kept getting all these copyright claims on my stuff, and none of it's a big deal. I haven't gotten any copyright strikes, but I have been said, they've let me know, hey, you probably can't monetize this video, and it's not every single episode that has music in it, but I'm just not going to be playing copyrighted music that I don't have the rights to play on shows anymore. So I'm not going to be playing either Decemberists or Hot for Crime, Jack of Moons, because I'm sure it is copyrighted. And if I play it, I'll get an alert and I won't be able to monetize. Not that I'm monetizing anyway. All right, I'm rambling now. Let's get back to the story. So I listened to it and I'm driving home and I'm thinking, okay, these guys rock, but they're not exactly my cup of tea. And I was trying to figure out why. And I started thinking about the rock music that I like. When I did get home, I looked them up. They have quite the presence on Spotify. They've got a bio. I listened to some more of their songs, read the bio, and I'm still not quite sold on these guys. I'd say their sound is like if Motley Crue and Nickelback had a baby, which makes me think of my theory, my thoughts on like hair bands. I've always had like a strong feeling about hair bands. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and there was no shortage of hair bands to listen to. And I listened to many of them just the singles, the big songs that were all over the radio or MTV at that time. But there were several bands that I dug deep on, that I really loved. And so I've put these bands from that time, the 80s and 90s, kind of like into two buckets. There's in the one bucket, there's like the real deal sort of bands, the genuine musicians, the ones that write their own music, their stories come through in their songs, whether they're about girls or drugs or whatever, you can tell that it's personal. If they dressed in like crazy outfits like leather pants and big hair, it's because they wanted to. It's because that's how they expressed themselves, and they did not give a fuck. They partied hard, they rocked even harder, and you just never doubted for a minute that they were genuinely rock and roll. And here's some examples of bands that fit into this bucket. Not a lot of them, at least not on my list. Guns N' Roses was the epitome of this bucket of real rock and roll. There's some others from then. Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard are the three that come to mind right now. Now, I'm not getting into all the Metallica stuff. That's like a whole different animal, right? Like that's heavy metal. This is not heavy metal. This is hard rock. And those bands I felt were genuine, were real. Like this came as much from their heart as from anywhere else. And the other bucket of bands was absolutely brimming, full of bands that seemed to be putting on a show. They had wardrobe people making sure they looked the part. They had record execs setting them up with like writers and image consultants, all to like put on this bad boy image show. And this bucket was huge. And the three bands that come to mind that epitomize this bucket are Poison, Warrant, and like Whitesnake. And this trend has continued in the rock world. It happened throughout grunge. There's plenty of good bands with good songs that live in that record company bucket, like Nickelback. Hell, let's just call it the Nickelback bucket. Now, this new band, Hot for Crime, for me anyway, seems to like blur the lines a little bit. I'm reading their bio. I don't really know enough about them to know like how influenced by the record company they are. They're very new. They formed in 2022. It's 2025. So they're just a few years old. They've gotten quite a lot of play, which tells me they have the backing of some major money and record companies and such. So I kind of feel like they're more in that Nickelback bucket. But reading their bio, there was a couple funny things. First off, it seems like their bio was written not by the guys themselves. It was probably written by like a brand new PR person, one that's just trying out writing a band bio for the first time. They graduated college. They know how to, promote something, but they've never tried it with a rock band. And so they wrote the bio, and it's fine, but it definitely sounds like very promotional and not very genuine. It wasn't clearly written by the musicians about their lives leading up to this band. It wasn't that. It was something else. But my favorite part of their bio is when they say they have songs with, quote, meaningful lyrics and melodic choruses. So I went out and looked up some lyrics. Some of their Spotify songs have the lyrics built into Spotify. Some of them you had to Google. But I didn't see anything in the lyrics that I would call meaningful. There were some that were more meaningful than others. Jack of Moons there's some sort of idea behind Jack of Moons that is not fully clear from the lyrics what he's trying to say. But it's pretty clear in most of the lyrics to most of the other songs what he's trying to say. For example, this song is called Kisser, Kisser, Kisser. And I'm just going to read the lyrics for you, at least through the first verse, chorus, and maybe slightly into the next verse. Hey, Mango Mommy, I love those pants. Get closer now, you got a chance. Let's get a drink and we'll hold hands. I touch your neck, yeah, you'll understand. But hey, what do you say? That's right, 'cause she's the greatest. Kisser, kisser, kisser. I loved your lips. I loved your teeth. I'm pretty sure I loved your feet. That's where I'm going to stop, because I think it's become clear that these are not exactly meaningful lyrics. This is the opposite. This is Nickelback level lyrics, right? This is clearly, and it goes with a heavy guitar, big drums. I know what it takes to get the sound of big drums, and they did that, and then they compressed them to make them even bigger. And they're pretty big. They do make your stereo system work pretty hard. It is fun to listen to this rock. I get that, but it's also just a little weird. There's something odd about the songs, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I wouldn't call it melodic choruses either. Just listen to that song, Kisser, and I think you'll find the chorus is slightly less than melodic. Anyway, I hope I'm not crushing my mom's buzz on this band that she sent me this song about. I have said things that annoyed my mom in the past on this show, and I did so without talking to her first about what I was going to say. This time, I sent her a message back, said, hey, I'm going to talk about it on the show. I don't necessarily love this band. Are you cool with that? And she said, yeah, it's fine. So there you go. This is not a recommendation. This is a band that sparked all of my thoughts that I hadn't really thought about for a long time regarding hair bands from the 80s and 90s, because these guys are, I think, mostly in that nickel bucket, in that Nickelback bucket. So there you go. But I still think it's cool that my mom sends me songs like that, and I want to encourage you, Mom, to keep doing that because it's great.
Thing number 3.
All right, I went to the doctor. I've been since turning 50, I've been thinking I should probably think a lot more about my health. And I've mentioned this on this podcast before. I've gone to the doctor. This was a follow-up appointment earlier this week. And I realized I hadn't told him about something that was bothering me since July. And that was the thing that I mentioned here in this appointment was that when I went to King's Dominion with Chester and Allison and Megan and their kids back in July of 2024, we had a great time. There wasn't a lot of lines. We got to ride roller coasters over and over and over again, especially the really fast one. And It's got G-forces and stuff, and they say, don't put your arms out, hold on to the handle. But of course I didn't do that. I've never done that. I've always been arms out kind of a roller coaster person. And with this one, it was difficult because of the G's you're pulling, like these big turns, and I'm holding my arms out kind of like Superman while I'm riding. And ever since that day, my left arm, right here sort of in my forearm, I don't know which muscle this is, but it's like on the top of your forearm, has been hurting. It hurts when I twist my arm. Like if I take my hand or my wrist and twist it left and right, that sort of causes this weird pain in my forearm, like right below the elbow joint. Now, I broke my upper arm many years ago, and I thought, wonder if this is like, did I aggravate this broken arm elbow thing by riding these roller coasters, pulling these G-forces and being dumb on the roller coaster, or is it something else? And I thought it may have been initiated by that, but it's been ongoing. Like, it has not stopped. Every single day I notice it. It hasn't stopped me from doing anything. It doesn't hurt enough to keep me from doing anything, but I notice it, and it's annoying, and it hurts. So I asked my doctor. I described all of that to him. And he asked me to move it around a couple more times to explain it. And I was telling him, I think, is it bone stuff? Is it muscle stuff? I don't know. And he asked a few questions, and I got you. I know what it is. I'm going to give you two. It's like inflamed a little bit. So I'm going to give you two prescriptions. One is a steroid and one is topical. And I said, all right, great. If that fixes it, awesome. Went to Walmart to pick up the prescriptions, and that's when I realized, holy shit, this is $77 worth of prescriptions, which seems expensive. The steroid was just a bunch of pills for $9. That wasn't the expensive one. The topical is the expensive part. So I didn't really look in it. It's like a bigger bag than I expected, brown paper bag, stapled shut at the pharmacy, paid, left, went home, opened the bag, and I found 5 large tubes of diclofenac sodium topical gel. Now, those of you that are old might know what that is just from that name. I had to get my reading glasses out to read that part of it, but right above that, it says in very large print, arthritis pain reliever. I have arthritis? Why? The doctor didn't say, oh, you have arthritis. Here's some stuff for that. Probably because he knew that might make me feel old. But right below it, where it says arthritis pain reliever, it says also for topical use only. I am quite certain that someone keeps their diclofenac sodium topical gel right next to their toothpaste in the bathroom. And when they have mistakenly squirted it onto their toothbrush, they went to town on their teeth with it, and it did not end well. And they thought somehow that this is someone else's fault. And there was probably a lawsuit. And now they have to put in pretty large print right on the front of this tube that it's for topical use only. Don't squirt this stuff in your mouth, people. Anyway, there we go. That was fun. I had a lot to say. Hopefully you're still listening. If so, congratulations. You've made it all the way to the end of 3 Things with JR, Season 6, Episode 1. I will be back next week, assuming Gary is on the mend, with an episode of Small Things Considered. I'm very much looking forward to that. And we'll get back into to listening to bands you've never heard of and just considering small things. Thanks again for listening. I am over and out. I'll see you next week.
It's a brand new day.